Hey everyone! Today we're diving into a tool called Napkin AI. The big claim here is that it can totally change the way we tell stories in business by turning plain old text into slick, professional diagrams. So let's see if it actually lives up to that promise.
You know the feeling, right? We have all been there. You've got this brilliant idea bouncing around in your head, but then you spend the next hour just fighting with text boxes and trying to get shapes to line up. It's probably one of the most common frustrations in any office.
And look, this isn't just a feeling. A study actually found that people spend about 40% of their time just on formatting when they're making presentations. Think about that. That's almost 2 full days of a work week spent fiddling with colors and alignment, not on the actual idea you're trying to share. There's gotta be a better way.
And that's exactly the problem Napkin AI says it can solve. It's a tool that's designed to just get rid of all that friction between what's in your head and a visual that looks like it was made by a pro. So what is this thing really? Well, at its core, Napkin AI is a text-to-visual generator. You feed it simple text, from a document, a business plan, or even just a quick prompt, and its AI instantly cooks up diagrams and charts from that information. And the best part? The whole promise is you don't need any design skills whatsoever. Now, this is a pretty big shift in how you'd normally work. Traditional tools like PowerPoint, they start with a template, right? And you have to kind of cram your ideas into their pre-made boxes. Napkin AI completely flips that. It starts with your words, your content, and then it builds the visual around your message. It's all about putting your content first. Okay, so a content-first approach sounds great, but how does it actually work? Well, the whole process is designed to be ridiculously fast and simple. Let's just walk through the 3 main steps. It really is this simple. First, you get your text in there, either by pasting it or even having the AI help you write a quick draft. Then you just highlight what you want to visualize, hit this little spark icon, and bam, the AI gives you a bunch of visual options. From there, you just pick the one you like, tweak it, and send it on its way. And this is where you can really see how flexible the tool is. It's not just making one kind of chart. Need a flowchart for a process? A mind map for brainstorming? A Venn diagram for a comparison? The AI has a library with, get this, over 30 different types of graphics to choose from, so you can find the perfect way to show your information.
So all of this really boils down to Napkin AI's 2 big promises, making things fast and making them simple. So let's look at the key benefits that make this whole thing so compelling.
The biggest win here is just pure efficiency. You're taking a task that could take hours and shrinking it down to seconds. It's perfect for non-designers, but it still lets you customize everything to match your brand. Plus, it plays nice with the tools you already use. And maybe the coolest part is this text-visual sync. If you update your text, the graphic updates automatically. I mean, that alone is a huge time saver. And hey, this isn't just the company patting itself on the back. Real users are feeling it. Jason Miller, who's the COO of a company called Sprouts AI, put it perfectly. He said, "It's like having a designer at our fingertips, ready to go anytime you need a quick visual to make your point." But of course, no tool is perfect. So to get the full picture, we've got to look at the reality of using Napkin AI, and that includes its limits and what some users are saying about it. This quote from a Reddit user really gets to the heart of the main criticism. The idea is that this isn't true creative AI, but more like a really smart system that's just mapping your text onto a library of templates it already has. And understanding that is, well, it's key to understanding where it falls short. So let's break that down. Users have pointed out that the visuals can start to feel a little repetitive. The tool is at its best with structured, logical ideas, but it can really struggle with more abstract concepts. The most telling example was a user who just needed 4 connected squares, but the tool kept giving them circles, probably because squares just weren't in its pre-built library. And that's what leads some people to call it faux AI. All right, so with all that in mind, the good and the not so good, what's the final verdict here? Is Napkin AI the right tool for you? Could this really be your new storytelling co-pilot? It actually breaks down pretty clearly. If you're a business person, a marketer, or an educator who just needs to make standard visuals fast, Napkin AI could be an absolute game changer. But if you're a professional designer who needs total control, or if your ideas require really specific or unique shapes, you're probably going to find it way too limiting. So at the end of the day, the best way to think about Napkin AI is as a really effective co-pilot. It's there to help you quickly mock up visual ideas and do the heavy lifting for common business graphics. What it's not is a replacement for a full-blown design program or, actual human creativity. And this really leaves us with a much bigger question, doesn't it? As tools like Napkin AI become more and more common, are we actually moving toward a future where AI is a true creative partner? Or are we just building smarter and smarter templates? The answer to that is probably going to shape how all of us communicate for years to come.